In this talk, we're going to be discussing some of the very interesting findings that I had on the Mahabarata. I'm the first person to discover these ideas in terms of the Mahabarata. So the idea is that it's an allegory. And what it's an allegory of is the transcendence of the ego self to the flow, to pure awareness. And I'm the first person to figure out how exactly that's the case. So Vishnu means all-pervasiveness. Krishna is an avatar of Vishnu. And Krishna, in the story of the Mahabharata, he kills Karna. Karna is the son of the sun god. The son and the father are one. So the sun god, so Karna represents his father, so he represents his son. What does the sun represent? One thing the sun represents is power. And it represents life, but at the same time it represents time. So while it's a transcendental thing, people used to worship the sun and it represents energy, it actually points to the flow, it's not the flow itself. So it points to, there's physical things in existence that indicate and point to the higher reality of the flow, but they are not the flow. It's still an individual embodied entity thing, and anything that's individual and material is separate, which induces separation consciousness, which creates the illusion of matter and separate things. According to Yogananda, we're in a dream world. There is no things. And according to the physicists, everything is energy, where everything is just iterations and formations of a basic quark electron configurations. So we have Krishna, who represents the flow, kills Karna. Krishna is with Arjuna, who's the son of the sky god, the god of the clouds, Indra. There's always a dynamic and a conflict in the Hindu scriptures between Indra and Surya, the sun god. Indra, the cloud god, and Surya, the sun god. Why is this? Because the clouds block the sun. And you always see that conflict between them. But what does this represent? Well, the sun represents the power, the knowledge, the time. The clouds are more ephemeral. The sun is more physical. Clouds are more ephemeral. And they block the sun. They block the appearances. And what is appearances? Appearances based on experience-based consciousness, which is dualistic ego, which is about the self. So the clouds block out the illusion. But at the same time, the sun is important. It's important to have the desire for power, which the sun represents and manifests. It illumines this idea of, it has that symbolic resonance of this idea of power. It's important to have that. The ego is magnificent in its accomplishments, but it's limited in its reach. The flow, Krishna is the ultimate. So on Krishna's side is the cloud, the son of the cloud god. And also on Krishna's side is Bhishma. Bhishma is the son of the wind god. The wind is ephemeral. The wind is non-material. It is clear. It's transparent. So it is also pointing to the transcendental ephemeral domain of non-materiality, which is opposition to Karna, who represents the sun, which gives light, which gives the illusion of material reality. We're also going to see that in the Greek mythology, where Hermes takes cattle from the sun god. This cattle represents the sun rays, which represents taking the experience-based sensory domain. And when you transcend the sensory domain, you go into the flow. You see the same thing with in the Bible, where Jesus is with the woman at the well, and the woman had 5 wives. Well, the 5 wives, according to Neville Goddard, represent the 5 senses. And Jesus is taking her from the 5 husbands, the 5 senses, to the intuitive, inspirational domain of oneness. So we have Krishna kills Karna, but it's actually Bhishma who helps kill Duryodhana. Duryodhana is the embodiment of Kali, who is time herself. So killing Karna, that represents killing time because the sun is a demarcator of time. But not completely though, there still is time even without the sun. Bhishma, who is the son of the wind god, represents breath. When you have your breath work, breath is something that is subconscious. It's something that is automatic. It represents the flow, and that's why it's on the side of Krishna, who is Vishnu, all-pervasive oneness consciousness, the flow. Bhishma helps kill Duryodhana, the embodiment of Kali, the embodiment of time, of the ego. So with the breath, with the breath work, with the meditation, you transcend time to Krishna, all-pervasiveness, oneness consciousness. And the killing of Karna, the sun, time, and Duryodhana, time, ego. And that's the meaning of the Mahabarata. I'm the first person to discover that.